Hello guys, welcome in another video. Today we'll talk slightly about the theory of the play and about the theory of the risk and rewards in the game. So let's go. First of all, we'll talk about the play. So what is actually the play in the League of Legends? And the simplest explanation is that it's just an action that we are taking in the game. This action can be basically taking the wave or like more macro playstyle decision like diving top, etc. So play, it's an action that we are taking in the game, right? And why we are making this play? We are making the play in most games, right? Only if we are inter, it's not working that way. We are making the play to get rewards, right? Rewards. And this reward can be CS, right? This can be tower, this can be kill, right? Kill. These are the most obvious one. But also, it can be, let's say, defending dive from the opponent, def dive, right? So we are taking some kind of reward. Some of them, as you can see, are like really easy to understand, but some of them, right, defending the dive seems like they are not giving us like gold, a lot of gold, right? CS, we are not making aggressive play, but in that terms, we are defending some kind of champion, some kind of structure. We are not getting the opponent reward, and in that example, we are giving our AD carry possibility to farm and, let's say, scale. Right, so it's not only this plays that are getting us a lot, but also we are talking about the reactive plays. Okay, so we got the rewards, but there's another thing about the play that we need to consider, and it is risk. Okay, so basically, let's say I'm playing solo queue with you, and in the 10 minutes I'm calling from the top. Okay, guys. I want to make a call that we rush in hip, and they are still on the top side of the map. There's still tier 1 tower, right? And all of these towers, right? So basically the reward from this play is really great, right? We are taking 1, 2, 3 towers. We are taking in hip. Maybe in hip so early on is not, you know, after this 10 minutes. So let's say we're in 5 minutes we are taking this. So reward is really great. Maybe we'll take some kills while we were doing this, but when we think about the risk of making this play, it's really damn risky, right? And it's not going to happen most likely in the game. So that means that when we think about the play, when we think about the reward, we also need to think about the risk that it is going to take, right? And this is really important in the game because most players are thinking about the rewards, how cool it's to be dive bots, how cool it's be to, I don't know, take the herald, but they are not thinking about the risk. Okay, risk that this play is possible or not. But also, so risk is the possibility of the play, but also when we are talking about the risk, we need to consider what will happen eventually from the opponent's side, right? So let's say someone is calling that we are going to gank top, let's say, right? We are ganking top, but at the same time, there is voice comm in the game that most probably the opponent is going to dive bots, right? So when we as a jungler will commit to killing enemy top lane, and let's say we are playing Ornn versus Gragas top, so it's not like we want to accumulate a lot of resources into the Ornn, and let's say we are playing Jarvan, but on our bot lane we are playing some kind of Aphelios trash lane. So it's much better for us in that case to defend Aphelios, right? Because if we will take this reward from top, right, and this play is like really possible to make, but when we will consider what is the cross map for it, and cross map is really possible for the enemy to take and kill our main carry that we want to give him a lot of resources. we are not taking this play, right? So even if the chances are good, reward is, let's say, kind of good, the risk of enemy cross-map bot is so big on our key champion that we shouldn't take it at this point. Okay, something, something lacked, but I'm back. So these are the things that we need to consider when we are making the play. And I want to give you like two examples of the composition, because in most cases, I would say that you want to put balance into making this reward and risk, right? If you can. So you don't want to make like this really, really risky plays at the start of the game. But at the same time, in most cases, you don't want to only take this like, only 3 rewards, right? There is always a chance that opponent can counterplay something, and it will just happen in the game, right? But there are 2 easiest to consider examples when this will not be, in the balance, right? So first one is that basically when we play early game comp versus late game comp, okay, that is completely outscaling us, and let's say that something went bad, okay, it happens in the game and we are really behind as this early game comp after 10 minutes of the game, and we understand that the opponent is going to outscale us. So then as this early game comp, we are not going to take this, medium or low risk plays, because if we will do this, in the game, after 10 minutes, we are going to be dead, right? This comp will completely outscale us. So we need to, as this comp that is losing, we need to take this high risk plays with high reward to get back to the game in the point when we can still play it, And this is the perspective of this team comp, right? I know that it's simplified, but it's, theory. It's always the picture is more complicated in the game. But this is the first step to understand this. And from the perspective of this late game comp, they're not going to take this high risk plays. They can even give up something on the map if they are not sure if this is safe, because they understand that in the 10 minutes, okay, the game is over, right? So we don't want to risk. And this is always very often happen, especially in lower leagues, that players don't identify that they need to just play safe, play gently, and everything is going to be fine in the game, right? But this is like every wave in the game can change your perspective of the game, and every wave in the game you need to identify what happened on the map, how big is it a deal for us, is it changing something, etc., etc., right? So this is the biggest example when this high risk, high reward is not balanced, right? So this one side is going to make this risky plays and try to look for the moment when they can punish mistake of the enemy. And this one should not take this really big risk plays and play it possibly as safe as possible, just to win the game in the 10 minutes. And in the game is one objective that is actually, when you think about this, it's really using this theory about the risk and the reward. And this is the Baron Nashor, right? So many teams lost their games when already winning. They flipped the Baron Nashor play and they lost. So we will talk about this, and this is going to be the last thing in today's video. So what is the perspective from the game? Let's say this team, blue team, is having the full control over this area. They are already winning. So the easiest thing that this team can think, and like most players will think about this, okay, we got control, we rush Nashor. Okay. And don't get me wrong, sometimes in the game, you will do this, right? And this is the right play. But like in 90% of the time when you are just taking control, Instagore Nashor, it's wrong play. Because this very often is the only opening that the opponent can take and flip the game for his advantage. So why we would do this for him, why we want to give him this gift. So let's say we are having this full control over this area. So what we can do instead of taking Nashor, like insta rushing it, right? In most cases. So if we have control over this area, right, just like this, from the perspective of the opponent, he don't really know if we started the Nashor or not, if we have good vision, you know. So because the Baron Nashor is so incredibly rewarding objective of the game, in most cases opponent cannot ignore the fact that we are having control over this area, right? And that we can start this Nashor, because basically he don't know what we are doing here. So from our perspective, if the fight occurs in that spot, right, when enemy is face checking this terrain, we're having full complex information about what is happening here. So from our perspective, the risk of it's really low, right? But from the opponent perspective, risk is really big because they are face checking. If they don't have good champions to face check, they might be dead, right? And we can punish them. So there are many situations, and the most important thing is to understand that this situation in the game is the situation that we want to force the enemy to make this risky decision at the same time when we are not making risky decision. We might make, like, you know, personal mistake. Someone might click in a wrong direction, but idea of it's good. And for example, when we see that opponent is running away, he's not contesting it, because we will see also this, right? Then we can start Nashor, right? Or we can start Nashor, and when we will see opponents coming to us, then we are getting back and we are trying to punish it. This you will see in many games from the higher league, that this is going to be this kind of game, right? Who will make this first mistake, who will be more impatient, etc. And there's another thing important in that manner, is that if we are having the full control over the Nash area, let's say we also have the control over these waves, right? So the two waves are pushing and the opponent is face checking us here. So the opponent needs to understand in this moment that if the death timers are long enough, right, and we are having good champions enough to take these towers, if we win the fight as a blue side, we basically got two waves ready to go into opponent's base and maybe end the game, right? So if the opponent is losing this fight right now, they are losing the game. But if we are getting this push and having control over this area, not only fight is not so risky, but at the same time, if we lose the fight, we are not going to lose the game, because opponent is not having the waves ready to crash into our base and end the game. We might lose Nashor, but this is not the end of the time. Not end of the word, you know. So this is the situation with Nashor. And yeah, as I said, it's theory, it simplifies, but it's really, really important structure that players and coaches need to understand to make their teams and make team to play on a higher level, right? I think that's all for today. As always, if you have any questions, etc., feel free to direct message me or comments under the video. So thank you for today, and see you in the next video.